Good evening.
Oh, I'm back, bitches. Yeah, except for the fact that they try and take every single nickel and dime they can out of you and make you spend as much money while you're there. You know what? It was good for me. It was great for the wife. And so as long as the wife is happy, life is happy. Well, I didn't end up taking it off the credit card, but doing the tips, we actually prepaid for the tips, which actually helped, because then we could actually give better for people that we thought deserved it. Which, yeah, we had some damn good servers. Those Indonesians, man, they know how to give good service. Let me just say.
Racist. I'm the moral compass for the show, so that's what I'm here, just to yell at
you don't
racist.
do a good job. I'm just saying it now.
And apparently I've just been muted at this point in time, so many of our live listeners didn't hear me talking at all.
That's super.
I'll just say it again real quick. We're not playing video this week because we don't want to sacrifice the audio quality. So anybody that's listening to the podcast and you haven't seen it, check us out on Tuesdays. We do go live over on Twitch, or not Twitch. We used to be Twitch. own.tv/tforce. At least you can listen to us live during that time. So, guys, I mean, I know Hornets had a great week. The rest of you, okay?
Yeah, it's been thrilling. I mean, I was supposed to have a Street Fighter match this evening against the Banhammer, but he was a coward, didn't show up.
Oh my God, bullshit. Yeah. I showed up.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong, but conspicuously, he was probably gonna take a beating. So all of a sudden, I left my capture card at work. Oh, my Xbox Live subscription isn't working. It's just a series of excuses.
Right. No.
That's all right. The same thing happened to my Xbox. Oh, my red ring. I can never play ever again.
Ain't that the truth?
It's funny. Now,
sitting in a closet, fully working, never be used again.
Let me just say that they were supposed to renew my subscription, and then they realized that they had an expired credit card linked to the thing, and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to renew it, so fuck that. I'll play League of Legends instead.
That's exactly what I said. Screw it. I don't care. No, yeah. So tomorrow, actually, Tom, he's listening and chatting in the chat. He's saying that I'm going to be using his account tomorrow to be playing Xbox Live. So I'll bring in my capture card in. Auslander and I decided to play the Super Street Fighter 4 AE 2012 edition, not 212. And we'll be doing a best of 80, isn't it?
Yeah, we're gonna play. Well, it depends. Depends if I expect to win a lot of the matches 2-0, but we're gonna mirror match every character, all 39 characters, best 2 out of 3. So,
starting with Ryu and working all the way down. I expect us to make it to Gen and say fuck this.
Yeah, the over/under is about 6 characters before this is a really dumb idea.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait.
So Tom will be actually shoutcasting.
Make sure you record the Dalzim mirror match for me. I'd love to see how that goes.
Who gets the first fireball and Turtle the best?
Who teleports to the wrong spot and gets destroyed? Just let me know.
I'm going to be asking you for combos. What is that combo? Is it standing, medium punch, crouching? I don't even know. A Dalsim combo.
Standing, medium punch, light punch, flame. Which actually, if I remember correctly, you could actually update to the medium flame. But yeah, that could be wrong.
God, any listeners we had just
adios.
Yeah, this is
welcome to League of Legends. We're going to talk about Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. Yeah, well, hey, we had Marn in our game, so
yes, we did. You guys actually got to play with Marn this week. We did. Optimus Tom had a special battle arena yesterday, and I helped cast it with him. You can check that over at youtube.com/OptimusTomTV. And we brought in Marn on that point. So how was it playing with a guy who's like a professional fighting game player?
It translates to this game, to League of Legends as well. I was very impressed. He knew positioning extremely well. He played Xerath in the mid, which actually kicked Ranhert to top. and but we let him. Ranhert wasn't going to dispute it too long, and I'll tell you what, I was really impressed with his positioning. Was on point. He dominated his lane. He came and I think he finished 11, 2, and 4,
something like that. He had a 2.1 KD ratio.
Yeah, he played very well, and it was evident that he had learned the game and was a force in the game, even though we couldn't help him out to win it as it was, as our bot lane got destroyed. But yeah, you know what? It translates that if you're really good at a certain game type, I think it can translate to other games as well, and I think he proved that point very well.
Well, there was I think Claky D plays. I think he's pretty high up on the ELO ladder as well, and Claky D of his claim to fame in Street Fighter. He's a good player. This is kind of a bad thing, but he was the guy that lost to Tokido, and Tokido did his Akuma pose.
Yes.
But I've actually watched him on stream quite a bit, Claky D, and he's pretty solid.
Clay D brought up a lot of good Marvel combos too, man. This Street Fighter podcast here.
Going the wrong way.
Jeez. No, that was cool. But yeah, we played that this last Wednesday. Actually, tomorrow, you guys will be listening to this podcast more likely during the day. So Tier and Zero Cardinality will be starting at 5 o'clock, and they have two $25 RP cards and one $10 RP card to give away. So go check them out over at own.tv/ggChronicle, not ggClassic. And speaking of the ggClassic, that actually starts this weekend, where we have a number of matches going on, starting on March 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and it will go into well into the night, as we have Team Solo Mid's going to be kicking it off with Dignitas, and then a couple of other teams that we don't know the name, that aren't that well known. And then on March 17th, later that night at 4 p.m., we have V8 and Epic playing that night as well. So Dave, and actually CLG will playing even later that night.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking about this. This is our March Madness for GG Chronicle, which is apropos for what is going on right now, because we have a gigantic bracket of some of the best teams in League of Legends in the North American scene, and I cannot wait. Not to mention the fact that, and we're going to get into talking about this with Solo Mid making a lineup change and having the Rain Man step down and Dyrus step in. This could be the first match that you see as Dyrus is the new top lane.
Oh, I didn't even think about it that way. That probably will be.
I believe it will be. If they announce it, they're going to make the change. So if you want to see that game, I'd highly suggest watching it. It's going to be on St. Patrick's Day at 1 p.m. Team Solo Mid versus Raise Your Weapons.
We have Tier and Zero Cardinality will be casting that one. So they get the honor of casting the very first Dyrus with TSM match.
I can't wait, because that's going to be full of ways that you can analyze how Dyrus does things differently than maybe Rainman would, or how it works as a teamwork.
Dyrus doesn't need Red Buff or Spirit Visage to win the game, so.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and not only that, but he probably doesn't play Teemo either, so he won't get destroyed.
And maybe he can actually play Aurelia. I haven't actually seen Dyrus play Aurelia.
I've seen him play. He's good. He's good with just about everyone top lane.
So we didn't actually say what happened. Hornet, why don't you take that and actually tell everybody what the big breaking news is tonight?
Yeah. So if y'all are just listening to this now and hadn't read yet, the Rain Man has stepped down from Team Solo Mid and will stay in the gaming house. Will continue to broadcast, and they hope to still stay friends while Dyrus then steps in. Leaving, he will be leaving Epic and joining Team Solo Mid full time. Dyrus feels that he can't mistake the opportunity, even though it is friends of his within the house. And Rain Man and everybody else in Team Solo Mid seems to be citing differences between the Rain Man's philosophy on playing the game and Team Solo Mid in general. So they've decided to make the change, and you know what? I think it's probably a long time coming. I think there's communication barriers that we just don't know about, that we just kind of saw. I think, IM Kiev was a great example of, we think we were missing communication on what would happen top lane as Rayman was getting pushed into his tower by Aurelia, and then they had no traction on where Shyvana was going in some of those matches, and it ended up costing him. And I think this change is going to be for the better. The Rain Man was in the bottom, of solo queue for what that was worth. But I think it's a good change. I think they're going to need this little kick in the butt to get them into focus for the upcoming seasons and the upcoming tournaments, including ours.
Yeah, I'm actually stoked now that this stuff has come out and we get to have their first look at the whole team this weekend. So I expect lots of people to be tuning in on that. Hopefully they're not going to be tuning in on the general streams there are. But the Rain Man did say he will go over to Epic Gamer and help them in IPL and play their top lane because Dyrus is leaving and going to be playing with Solomid in IPL. So we'll see a Rain Man Epic
that's
Gamer.
nice. That's actually a good change. I didn't see that at all, so that makes sense.
Yep. They announced it, I guess, on stream.
Okay. That was a slightly different. But yes, St. Patrick's Day, 1 p.m. Check it out with Team Solomid versus Raise Your Weapon. You're going to see Dyrus play first time, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to tune in now. I'm a big college basketball fan. I love March Madness as much as anybody, but you'll see me watching this and checking out our streamers and getting their opinions on what's going on. So.
Yeah, it's a whole different casting game, too, trying to cast pros to just random custom games where you don't know anybody. I don't expect so much to be going on as everybody is pretty much the same ELO, I would say 2K+. And, I wanted to pointing out, we actually had Sotir, who's going to be casting that Team Solomid this weekend. He actually went over 2,000 ELO today. He had 2017 ELO around, 2 o'clock this afternoon? So,
and it was awesome to watch, too. The fact is he did it playing support. And you know what? He showed that he admitted he got carried the first game because he didn't play the greatest support, and his carry just laid in and came through for him. But then I think as his Soraka, the second game that pushed him up, I think he played a great game, and he does a great job analyzing what's going on and talking through what he's thinking as he's playing. So if you get a chance to watch him, he is on the ggClassic own TV channel. You have to check him out at some point because he does a really good job for us. And I think he's going to do a great job analyzing, from a high ELO perspective of what's going to happen with Team Solomid versus Raise Your Weapon. So
right.
Please tune in.
So that's there you have it. Ranhert, you're being very quiet today.
I don't know what you want me to say.
I want you to talk to me, buddy. I missed you.
What do you want to talk
I haven't
about?
talked to you all week. You've just been quiet all day. Are you are you cheating on me with Chris?
Yeah, I am. I couldn't keep it in any longer. I'm so glad you gave me the opportunity to vent my I don't know what you want to call
frustrations.
it. No. Yeah, frustrations. I was gonna say consternations, but anyways, yeah, I'm here. I'm good.
Right.
No problems. I've been playing a lot of Ryze this week, with mixed results, but it's just weird. It's one of those champs that I always seem to get destroyed every time somebody plays Ryze against me. It's like, well, all right, time for me to play Ryze and learn and everything else, and it's like. And, I do the same builds. I seem to be doing pretty well on CS, and it's just like, I'm not doing any damage. What am I doing wrong? Combos are coming out, and things are going along, and no damage. So, some things to figure out. It might be runes, might be masteries. But
I was going to ask you what masteries you have been running, these different games.
Well, I've done the 9-0-21, and I've done the 0-21-9. So most recently I've been doing 0-21-9. Because I just like a little bit of extra survivability in the early rounds, the early levels, because that's where Ryze really struggles is early on. But I might go back to 9-0-21 just to get the magic pen, and just a little bit of the spam ability to be able to harass a little bit more. Just not sure. It's really for Ryze. It's really matchup dependent. You have to figure out what matchups you need to go, what setup with. So
now this is a curious question to relate to that because this is something that I'm not completely familiar with. Why is it so important that you're in the utility tree for Ryze?
Okay, so for Ryze, if you go 21 in utility, you'll get both 3% spell vamp plus 10% cooldown reduction. So that's really big. You need the cooldown reduction. What I've done in going 0-21-9 is you get 8.5 or 8.9, I forget, cooldown reduction. I think it's 8.1% cooldown reduction at level 18 from the defense tree. And then you can give yourself a couple flat cooldown glyphs, which I've done, to make sure that you get that same 10% that you would have gotten from the utility tree. Therefore, when you get pretty much your core build, you'll have the full cap at 40% cooldown reduction, which is what you need with Ryze.
Okay, I was more curious as to taking that comparatively to a to more offensive masteries, but it sounds like 9021 maybe your best bet. I understand the spell vamp with cooldown reduction. That makes perfect sense. So
yeah, and I don't have the spell vamp quints either. So I've been using move speed quints, which is kind of nice. But a lot of people say spell vamp quints are good to get even more survivability, which when you play like I do is probably a good thing. So I don't know. We'll see. That's kind of the fun thing about Ryze, I guess, is that there's a lot of experimentation you have to do and trying to figure things out. There's no really like one set build. There's no real one level, order that you build things. You have to really take it in stride. Sometimes I always wind up finishing off the Tear of the Goddess and first, along with just level 1 boots. But then it's like, well, do I go with the Glacial Shroud first, or do I go with a Catalyst first, or do I just flat out rush a Banshees, or do I get the Negatron Cloak from the Banshees and then get Glacial Shroud? A lot depends on your laning opponent and also the enemy jungler to try and figure out what you're going to do there. So it's interesting the different things that you have to do when you're playing that champion.
Can you not run a 21 on Ryze to get that extra damage with the 21-point skill? It's just not worth it with extra mana you'll get out of the utility in this 21-9-0 or 21-0-9 Ryze.
Oh yeah, 21 in offense is a real waste on Ryze, just because you're going to need the cooldown reduction from either 21 in defense or 21 in utility.
Gotcha.
So you kind of need it. It's pretty important. Some people say that they go 9-9-12 on Ryze, but not to the same degree as those are saying that 0-21-9 or 9-0-21.
I just want to mention something that happened in the chat while we were playing with Marn. Marn says, "Okay, guys, as long as you don't die, I will carry you. I will carry you." Ranhert goes, "Well, that's not possible."
You've never played with me.
I had to laugh and then say, "Marn, have you heard of Ranhert syndrome?" the rest of the time I was explaining Ranhert syndrome in more detail, but it was just a grand moment of don't die. Yeah, I can't do that.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Exactly.
I die all the time in top lane. I buy wards all the time, and I just die all the time.
That's why you can't play top. Top lane's a whole new beast, dude. I've been playing top lane a lot more, and it's so much different than even middle and bottom lane. Like, I don't even know what to do. I push to a tower and I get all scared because I feel like the jungler's going to babysit me the entire time.
Well, the better one is when we call out that somebody's heading top, and Ranhert's like, "Why did I think that you said mid or what?"
No, what did I think? Why did I hear bot when you said top?
Top, yeah. They were
it was totally on me. I wasn't blaming anyone. I was just like, wow, I totally thought I heard bot, and I had to turn my music down.
Why did I do that? Like, he just questions himself as he dies and gets ganked.
Yeah, because Martin's like, I told you he was coming up, and I was like, yeah, I thought you said bot. My bad.
Map awareness, bro.
How's that Dudley treating you?
Yeah.
And sometimes map awareness doesn't equate for just plain, I don't know, tunnel vision, as we want to call it, where you look and you see it and you still don't react the way you should. There's just those days. There are those days. Those do happen.
Ranhert has vacation on his mind now. It just seems like that time of year. Austin, are you leaving us too?
Vacation? No, I'm here until probably May. So.
Yeah, tax season doesn't allow work vacation.
Yeah.
Do you have like a rule at your work where you're not allowed to take off between like January and April?
I thought we did actually, and then I mentioned it to someone like maybe 2 weeks ago. Like, I always wanted to go somewhere in the winter for like a week, just somewhere warm. And she's like, well, why don't you? I'm like, oh, we can't take off during sack season. She's like, yeah, sure you can. Just for like a week in February? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Well,
This is an outrage. I've been here for 6 years.
It's fucking awful.
Yeah.
It needs to go someplace warm, as we were talking about. In any case, gentlemen, I want to get into this because Hanover, with it just happening, and obviously I missed all of it live. I had to go watch the key matches afterwards. Which let me just say that since I couldn't actually see it live when I first got back to port from my cruise, I could actually go to ggClassic and I got to read most of the synopsis for all the things that were happening. And let me say, they were very well done. I could go through, I could understand exactly what had happened during game, exactly what the strategies that went through, and how teams won or lost games as they went through. I still needed, in my mind, to watch some of the games, and particularly I wanted to watch the finals, and I wanted to watch the semifinals between CLG and M5, but I wanted to watch M5 and see what they were doing. And their way of imposing their will was ridiculous on any team they faced. It was as if, we're not scared of you, we're still not scared of you, and yes, we're still not scared of you. Even though they were down, I believe against CLG at one point, they were down in kills 10-3, down in gold about 7,000, and they still didn't care. They played defense as they needed to, but it was amazing to me how they played smart, aggressive, smart. Like that's the best way I can describe it. And Ranhert and I had a discussion earlier where, Bay Life isn't working, but we got to say Kami Life is definitely working out very well.
Oh my god.
So
nothing like taking T-Force down that racist path some more.
Oh, absolutely. Kami Life is...
It's not racist. It's xenophobic or
something.
Well,
bit
it's
political.
governmental. How's that?
Yeah,
Is that I mean,
KGB.
Yes. Do we need to...
Sorry, I'm thinking a fucking Office sketch. The KGB joke.
Next
What's
thing
colder
you
and
know,
cold? I'll tell you. What?
Next thing you know, we'll have another 1,000 listeners on the podcast because we need to worry about security concerns.
What I really liked about M5,
What are they going to do? Talk trash at us?
they're just not going to listen. That's all.
Yeah.
We're going to lose our 2 listeners we have a week. It's going to be 1 now. It's going to be Oscillator's mom.
Das Vidanya.
So I was going to say about M5, what I really liked about them is what they've been doing, and especially starting like Kings of Europe, is they've been thinking outside of the meta. Like, all their matches are just not your normal, everyday, boring meta. And it really forces the other team to think and try to play, while you see like TSM, who they just look like they willy-nilly pick characters when they were playing for the, for the spot against SK. They forced Rayman to play Aurelia top, but didn't really have a team that would synergize around that. It's just everyone's Bay Life ego gets in the way, while M5 is sitting over here, thinking it through, picking teams. I heard Alec Ich, I can't talk in German.
say Alex.
Alex. There you go. Alex was saying that he specifically picked Galio in one of the matches off of the first day just to counterpick whatever they had picked, and they put him support because they wanted them to try to counterpick the Galio. The stuff like that, just crazy thoughts like that. So they knew Galio could support, knowing his ult will do well, and then he got farmed up, and he would use his ultimate, everyone would die. I mean, that's what Galio does best.
And let me say that my favorite thing to watch was the roaming where they put Urgot bottom against Dignitas solo, gave him blue buff, and then it was a roaming Alistar Lee Sin. And it was sick to absolutely watch the ganks that would come from. For instance, what they did initially is it was the first game, I believe, in the finals, and Lee Sin and Alistar went in almost immediately after Urgot appears bottom by himself with blue buff. Alistar and Lee Sin go in after the red, and Shyvana is there half health trying to do the red buff, gets ganked by both of them and dies. Then it comes later where they're again in Dignitas's jungle, and they wait. The Alistar waits just inside the cavern where Wraiths are. Lee Sin is waiting just alongside of just above the ramp that could go into river on blue side, and immediately Alistar flashes over to go catch Skara playing Mordekaiser mid. Flash over, headbutt forward, and then pulverize. Meanwhile, Lee Sin jumps in, and I forget what Alex was playing at the time. I think it was Karthus. And they just destroyed them like it was an instant blow up. But the angle that they came from to pull that gank off was not something that you would see normally. There was a flash over a wall to a headbutt to a pulverize, and then it just set up everything else to just destroy him. And Scar didn't have a chance. I mean, Scar was just destroyed at that point. But it was things like that where, like, we've seen the roaming meta before, but I haven't seen it where it's a two-man roaming meta where Lee Sin and Alistar go where they want to and then just go affect whatever lane they wanted. At that point, they just kept targeting Scar. I think they killed Scar 3 times in the mid before it got to 12 minutes in the game. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that just was, like, awesome to see. And as much as I hate M5's attitudes for some of the other games that they've seen him with, watching them play was fun. I mean, it's absolutely a great thing to watch.
Yeah, and it's neat that their real kind of consistent philosophy is that, and M5 that for that matter, is that they really build for that late game. They know that they can survive pretty much any early game comp, and they just have like a perfected late game comp, and they know that they can farm up and get to that point where, even if it looks like they're behind, they're not behind because they will win team fights and catch people out of position and just bend the entire game to their favor, even if they're behind. So I mean, it's definitely something to see. I did want to comment and see what you guys thought about the most played champion for the entire tournament, and that was Janna. And she actually had like a 70-something% win rate as well, also being the most played champion. So pretty interesting considering that she's a support. I guess we would probably expect to see a support or maybe like an AD carry in as the most played champ. But she's not your typical sustain support. She doesn't have a heal, so I guess some of the mastery changes are taking effect. Not the mastery, the summoner spell changes are really starting to take effect. Heal, we're starting to see a whole lot more than it was before. And just her ability to zone and things is really turning her into a powerful champ at the highest level. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I got 2 opinions on this. One is Sonya's nerf, I think, made a big difference, especially her early game push, because what would happen is if you played Janna on one side and Sona on the other, Sona, no matter who she was with, could push that lane immediately to tower and the lane would be behind. I think we saw that all during Kiev, where Sona was first picked by TSM all day long, and M5 started to recognize it as they went through, and some of those changes really made a difference of how that happened. My second thing is what you mentioned on, which is the heal mastery. I think heal has changed the game big time, especially for laning phase, and especially in bottom lane in particular. And Janna's utility is still some of the best out there. She's a melee killer. She, is just her ultimate blows people away, but her whirlwind definitely knocks people up or slows them down. She also has a slow in the Cypher. I think all those abilities combined just make her useful, where you don't find too many champions who all 4 points are very useful and very particularly used in team fights to affect what goes on as far as survivability goes. Her utility is so good. And now that you're not seeing any particular support that really pushes lanes early at a given time, I think that made all the difference in the world, really.
Yeah, it's a spot analysis of Janna. I've seen her making a fantastic comeback now with all the utility she can add, and how you don't just play Protect the Kog'Maw anymore with her. You play Protect the Team or Reorganize the Team at any point in time to give you better positioning. And I think her ultimate is a great addition to any team. if you have a bad engage, it pushes them all off, allowing you to get back in the right position to be able to try to turn the team fight around where you need it to go. Just another, one of the great aspects of having a Janna there. Yes, she doesn't have it heal, but having that, like you said, that summoner heal has made all the difference.
I love the fact that, and I've played Janna probably the most of any character outside of Udyr, and I love the fact that I'm seeing her, like the one thing I can say about Janna in team fights is there's always something that she can do to affect a fight at all times.
Right.
She'll have reduced cooldowns, so her shield will be up multiple times. Her whirlwind will be up multiple times, and she can slow somebody from getting away, or she can pop somebody up to prevent them from getting too close. And there's always something that can be done in a team fight with Janna, and she keeps her teammates alive so well. I was very excited to see that stat. I thought it absolutely applied to everything that happened. So I was, Europeans had seen this coming a while back. It was just the fact that the Americans could pick Sona, or North Americans could pick Sona and push, Janna off early and get them behind. But now that's not the case anymore. There's no real champion and support that's really pushing people off that quickly. Alistar can in certain cases, but even then it's, based off of cooldown of a combo to hit, and a lot of it depends on whether you can get flash behind and things of that nature. So
I still don't like the Janna Vayne lane at all. I would much rather have any other champ with him than Janna. I just don't feel like they work out as well. I know Alistar seems to be getting shit on by the pros a lot recently because of his skill set, but even a Janna Alistar lane, a Vayne Alistar lane I'd rather have. I see a lot of them try to play that Vayne lane, and yes, it finally worked for him, but I don't know. Just personal preference, I don't like playing a Vayne with a Janna.
I don't disagree with you. I think it works with Kog'Maw so well because Kog'Maw dishes out so much damage. And if you can keep protecting Kog'Maw and just let him pump out damage, it's great. Vayne, because Vayne scales later game, you have to protect Vayne, but yet Vayne doesn't have a utility to slow somebody. All they do is one pushback. And that's good and all, but she's got a little mobility by herself. It doesn't make sense to have Janna sort of work with her, in my opinion, as well as comparatively, say, like for instance, there are certain bottom lanes that we've always decided that really do work well together. For instance, Tristana Alistar is a bot lane that really works well and really causes problems and together. And I really believe that, Janna can work with a lot more champs than most, but it doesn't always work out with all of them great. I think she can, for instance, I think she can keep, Kate with her, fire ability being higher. I think Janna can work with Kate better, as for instance. But we saw Janna with almost every combo, I think, during the tournament. So
pretty much fantastic analysis of this entire situation of the Janna tournament and everything. Do you have anything else to say about the Hanover? I know you really wanted to talk about it. You were so excited about this all happening, and unfortunately you had to miss it going on vacation.
Yeah. To me, CLG had always talked about, well, if we were at Kiev, M5 wouldn't have done what they had done, and blah, 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 and we would make things different. Well, the thing is, I particularly was interested to watch CLG versus M5 in the semifinals, and in both games, CLG does get up early. They don't allow counter jungling. They particularly watch their lanes. They were very good with their roles and ganks and positioning, and yet when it came down to being aggressive and being where they needed to be and getting where they needed to go to finish a game, M5 just didn't let it happen. And they were down so far at one point in the second game. I believe they were down 10. M5 was down 10-3 in kills, and they just it's almost like they willed themselves back to where they needed to be by continuing to farm, by staying with the feeling that, as Ranhert said, building characters that they know scale well late game, and they know, especially their AoE comps, the Kennons, the Vlads, putting that AoE comp to work and making it the way they want to. I was impressed. M5 really showed me that they keep putting pressure on you, keep putting pressure on you, keep putting pressure on you, and force you to put pressure back. And even then, they'll outplay you at times. And they did it against CLG. They did it against Dignitas. They did it the entire tournament long, where they didn't lose a game in the biggest tournament of the year. And that, to me, that just says it all.
Yeah, well, when you are number one, you do what you got to do. It doesn't matter if you come out and say people are retard, whatever, and then apologize for it. If you win a tournament, who cares what the hell you say, right?
Hey, commie life, man. It's working out.
That's a new thing, right? Commie life.
That's my thing for them. It's not Bay life. It's commie life.
Well, if that's the case, then we need to call CLGEU Ronald Reagan or something, because we're going to bring that wall down here pretty soon.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the Cold War. You want a reenactment of the Cold War, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not. I mean,
So a
it's just
30-minute
the
farm,
truth.
and then
Let's
everyone
not
just
forget
meets in the
that
middle?
CLGEU beat them in Kings of Europe, and beat them pretty handily. And
I'm not going to say handily.
well, not handily, but I mean, they performed very well.
Yes.
They performed very well. Not handily. I mean, they didn't trounce them, but I mean, they performed very well and looked better than obviously any other team that's played them, because they're the only ones that can seem to beat them recently. And they unfortunately weren't able to play in Hanover, being such a new team, and they had the whole whatever the sponsorships, tie-ups issues that they had before. We won't even get into all that because I don't even know if I could. But that was
not going
able to play in Hanover. So I'm looking forward to the next big tournament where those guys get to square off again and see those two European powerhouses go at it.
And you're right. It is sad that they didn't get to play. I will say this. I believe that all the and they've scrimmaged each other and played each other a ton, being CLGEU and M5. And I do believe that CLGEU would have made the best threat to M5 as it was. But I will say that I think one of the things that I watched, as I've seen plenty of scrims between the two teams, M5 started to ban Alistar to make sure that Snoopy, who is CLGEU's jungler, would not play him, because he was such a terror to their lanes with Alistar.
Right.
And then I started to see some of the games where Gosu Pepper plays Alistar as a support, and you see the wreckage that he's able to do when he's allowed to roam and go to different lanes, and especially what he did against Dignitas in the finals. And I think M5 has done the best job of scrimming against everybody they can, learning little bits of information from every team, and getting ideas from them and what things that they can use in their own games to make differences. And for instance, that Alistar difference, I think, came from Snoopy, who plays him in the jungle and does ganks as well as anybody from that position. And I think that's just an example of how M5 has adapted, and everybody else is now playing catch-up.
Absolutely. That's what it comes down to. M5, when they're actually playing together and learning together, I'm going to bring it back to the TSM. TSM was playing and scrimming, but they weren't learning anything when they were doing it. They'd say they'd play a couple games, and they wouldn't talk about why they lost. They'd just keep playing and let everyone try to figure out themselves. And at the same time, you have Chaox, he was on his misfortune kick during that whole time. They were scrimming right up for some of the tournaments, and it just shows that what team mentality can do and why this game is very much a team game.
And maybe that's an effect of playing solo queue too often. You kind of wonder, everybody's got their individual streams and they're making money from them, and we're all watching them. I mean, Odd One's is as good a streamer as to watch. He is entertaining, but he also gives you what he's thinking and what's going on with the games. But there's something to be said for knowing synergies, and then I'm sure the teamwork calls by M5 were on point, because you could watch them just be on point for where they needed to be to play either defense or offense, or be in the right spots at the right times, or knowing timers, or there's just so many things that looked like the coordination of M5 was that much better than everybody else.
So we were going to try to keep this podcast kind of short this week, because there's not really a lot to talk about. We all want to get around to play a couple games and whatnot. We've had Ranhert's actually not going to be here next week because he's going on vacation, like we keep hinting to. So keeping this kind of a shorter one this week, we want to kind of round it out. I want to round out with a support Ranhert segment. Now, I don't think Ranhert had any characters ready, right?
Oh, I can pull some out of my ass if you guys want to play. Hornet wasn't here playing last week.
Can we do Teemo real quick? Because we do have a listener, Limit754. He wrote in and he gave one for your Teemo. So I think we should start once again with your Teemo and let him say, I'll read his off, and then you can ask everybody else again.
Okay, well, hold on. Well, so just so Hornet knows how this is, or anyone that's tuning in normally, I just, for fun, decided to throw out a segment since Tom and Auslander both like to play supports occasionally. So I called out a champion, and then they had to say what champion they would support me with, and they couldn't say the same champ, and I would just pick the winner. But I think, let's see, I did pick Teemo, so this is really the listener email is really kind of what he would have picked for Teemo support. So I guess when I picked Teemo, what did you pick, Auslander?
I think I went with Alistar.
Alistar, and
Tom went with Victor, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Tom went with Victor.
We saw earlier what Teemo Soda can do. Fucking pushes Soraka Grave shit in.
Wow, actually not really.
No,
just farm.
Just farm as well.
or was it Mantheon? Was it Mantheon that he said, or was it Victor?
No,
I think it was Victor. Yeah.
Because he did Kog'Maw for Nunu.
Yeah.
Or Nunu for Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the listener email here, actually the listener Limit754, thanks for listening and writing in. He says, I vote Zillion for Teemo support. The speed boost will help Teemo poke and survive. The XP boost will help him to mushroom sooner. The ult will help sad, fragile Teemo to live for 4 seconds instead of 2. And the bombs will help zone them for his uber short range. While all these are really great points, I really kind of only agree with the last one. While I'm not going to disagree entirely, but so the speed boost will help Teemo poke and survive. While that is true, Teemo has his own speed boost. So
but it costs
when
mana
I'm really
for Teemo to use it.
Yeah, but an AD Teemo doesn't need mana.
What are you talking about? I used so much mana as AD Teemo, blinding every time they came in.
Banhammer would basically Q them anytime they came.
I didn't want to get hurt.
Auto-attacking.
I was scared.
Does no damage.
It was like
blind,
2 minutes and 30 seconds in, and he was out of mana. And I was like, how is that possible?
Because I was so scared. I'm like, Graves is coming in, Q!
Yeah, but his Q isn't affected by the blind, so doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of my thought process there. When I'm really looking for a support, or I guess when most people are looking for support, I would think you would be looking for something that's going to complement you very well and not necessarily add on to your same bag of tricks. So really that speed boost is nice, but it's a speed boost on top of a speed boost he already has, so are we just getting a longer bit of speed boost? I mean, the lane's only so long. But
what if we
that may
Teemo
be able to
like
help
Zillion
Zillion and Teemo move up at the same time. The XP boost will help him to mushroom sooner. Again, while that is true, and AD Teemo's mushrooms aren't really like all that great. I mean, they're not going to do a ton of damage. You're going to be using them for a little bit of vision, but it's not like, that XP boost is now you're going to be killing so much quicker because you hit level 6 and you're going to use your ult and get a kill because you got there before the other opponents. Now, in Teemo's case, you're just going to be able to put down a little bit of shroomage because you got there a little sooner. And then the ult will help sad, fragile Teemo to live for 4 seconds instead of 2. While this is true, when I play Teemo, it doesn't really matter. I will be under the tower when you use the ult, so once I become alive again, I'm still going to get hit and die. So that's a shame, but it is a good idea, and I kind of like Zillion support a lot. I think he's very good, and definitely being able to zone out with the bombs is definitely going to help Teemo be able to farm a lot more because of his short auto attack range.
Now, if
let me say one thing though. I think actually getting to the mushroom sooner is a nice little benefit because then you don't have to buy wards and you can just mushroom in bushes and you can just get all the vision you need around the map a little sooner.
That's not
just a little sooner, but you still have to leave the lane and stop farming to go plant them.
8% sooner. So.
Yeah, it's not like a ton sooner. It's a little bit sooner. Well, I'm not
seconds.
really. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing that it's not nice. I just think it's more useful on, say, like an Ashe. If you get your Ashe arrows sooner, then the other team hits 6. Well, you're probably going to be able to pick up a kill, maybe, or some other champions that have a great ultimate at level 6 that can really start an initiation and get a win. So. I guess it's not really saying that it's not great for Teemo. It's just I think it's better suited for some of the other champions. It was more my observation.
So, Brandon, why don't you give us one for this week? One champion.
Okay. Well, let's pick a champion that we just found out you recently purchased. So I have now picked Urgot as our AD carry in bot lane. What are you guys going to support me with?
Oh, man.
Do we need like Jeopardy music for a second? Everyone.
Actually, we'll start with Hornet.
Janna.
Why?
Reasoning?
You gotta have a reasoning.
Janna, because it's going to be, well, number one, that's because I play Janna the most and I know her better than anybody else. But I'll say this. Urgot is one of those that he needs to get up close, and when he goes in for actual attack, he wants to be up close and then use his ultimate to hold somebody in place on the other side. And the best thing that Janna can do is prevent somebody from getting away that allows Urgot to stay in range, but also the fact that Janna has the best ability to get melee away from Urgot when need be, when his range isn't that long. So that's my feeling on Janna.
Ooh, I kind of like that.
Yeah, I also like the idea that her whirlwind, when it comes out, when it's on your side, it's pretty easy to detect whether or not it's going to hit. And just having that little bit of knowledge that whirlwind's going to hit and is going to pop up the champion in a certain spot is going to make it that much easier to land his E, which is then going to allow him to land his multiple Qs at ridiculous range for ridiculous damage. So
no, that's very true. Very true. And Urgot is one of those champions where you got to have the skill to land the E. And it's not always easy landing that E. That's one impressive thing of when Genja plays Urgot, or you watch pros play Urgot. He looks so easy. It's like, oh, I can land this E and then I can spam Q at somebody from halfway across the screen. But let me tell you, landing that E is not easy. Not as easy as you think, especially at high levels.
Yep. What about you, Auslander? What are you going to support me with?
I'm going to go Volibear. Basically, Volibear with his, I think it's his Q. See how much I play him. You can, it's like a little mini singe toss. You can run, you get some extra move speed. You can toss the target back. So that'll help. If Urgot ults, you can just even throw the person even further back once the switch happens. Make it harder for them to get away. Also, he's a goddamn bear, and he'll be going up against a unicorn. Like, what the hell is a unicorn going to do against a bear? Die. That's what's going to happen. And your little Janna, and you thought it was just a breeze? No, it was a bear chasing your ass down and chucking you. So I think Volibear is pretty much the answer to most questions, especially this one.
That's awesome.
Oh God! Well, it's actually kind of funny because, one of the things about, again, Urgot's E that we just focused on is that the closer the target is to you, or I guess the closer that you fire it, since it's not really a targetable spell, the faster it hits. So it actually has a launch time as the projectile. Think of it similar to Ziggs's ultimate. So if you shoot it really close, it'll hit quicker. If you shoot it far, it has to travel farther, and therefore it hits longer. It has more of a delay. His Urgot's E is the same way. So if the Volibear is able to bring the targets closer to Urgot in a predictable manner, then Urgot has now a shorter window to, a shorter distance to hit with the E, which will hit it quicker and make it more reliable. So that is kind of nice. It's hard to choose a winner on this one. I am actually going to have to go with Hornet, only because
GG!
Because if the Soraka is any good, they have the Dryad Soraka, which is not a unicorn, and therefore, it's not a bear versus a unicorn.
Surprising that you'd pick the guy that you grew up with, and not. That's how it works.
Not the guy who never shows his face. Yeah, that's okay. We'll just leave it at that.
Wow,
I'm the winner.
It is salty up in here. I see.
It was against Tom. That's not a real win. For God's sakes.
I love you.
He pretty much counted the lights for me. But
Oh my god. Before this gets any more out of hand, I'm just gonna call the podcast for this week. We're at either at an hour or a little under.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
okay, well, if you
please
want
take
to
us
reach out and give us a call with some ideas for, support Ranhert, or just want to pretty much praise me for my Volibear pick, the phone number is 203-49-FORCE. That's 203-493-6723. You can text us at that number as well. So basically, Volibear greater than Jenna, go.
Yeah, I haven't even checked the text
Because
in a week.
fearing minions is so important in lane. Oh god.
It slows though. It also
I'll break up
slows.
the aggro. The Banhammer grabs a ton of aggro. I got to break it up somehow. Eat. There it is.
See,
Minions
he knows how to play with the Banhammer.
And then if you want to email us, it's feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com, or follow us on Twitter, tforcepodcast. And that's that.
That's this week. So hopefully next week we'll have a lot of stuff for you about the new TSM swap and all that. We'll have a little bit more
Is there a patch
in-depth
next week?
episode. No,
Maybe a patch.
this weekend. Well, actually, there should be at least some kind of announcement about some champion this week. I would assume. Did they get delayed just like a week or two?
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
So I think we might actually see a patch next week. There's still 3 days left in this week, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, that'll round out for T-Force this week, guys. Catch us wherever you need to go. Rate us on iTunes, all the good stuff. So we will see you next Wednesday. Peace.
Later.
Later.